Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks, episode 8. And yeah, man, back with y'all once again. Just got a few topics I want to discuss with y'all today. I want to talk a little bit about Cortney Casey, her win over Barella, and what's next for her in the flyweight division real quick. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about, of course, we'll go in a little bit more in depth on Claudia Gadelha versus Angela Hill. And just talk about a couple of the fighters that were victims of bad judges, bad robberies once again. Like I said, I hate to call close fights robberies, but, I thought there was enough work done by these fighters last Saturday that were victims of the robberies. And, just want to go a little bit more in depth on Angela Hill and her loss to Claudia Gadelha. And last but not least, man, I want to talk a little bit about boxing. Like I said, talk about this welterweight division. Errol Spence Jr. potentially might be facing Garcia when boxing returns in September, man. So I know a lot of people don't like that fight, but just a few points that I want to cover and remind people about, Errol and Danny Garcia on why this might be a good fight, man. But yeah, man, just going back to last Saturday, we had a lot of good fights, but like I said, man, I tell people this all the time, man, like the one thing that could take away from a good, solid night of fights is the judges. Everything could be just perfect, the perfect matchups, perfect opponents, perfect nights for these guys that are, just throwing down and putting it all on the line. And then right there, man, right at the end of the fight, whenever those scores are read and that decision is given out to the wrong person, man, like it's just not the fighter, man. It's just not the fighter that feels that frustration and disgust. It's the fans that come out too. They feel for them as well, because the fans, they want to see the rightful winner. Just like when they were seeing that perfect fight, they saw that opponent, that champion, that contender, putting everything on the line, doing everything right, everything he trained for. He's showing everything, his heart, his skill, his drive. He's showing all of that to stay ahead on the cards, only to have it taken away. Even if he was like in a very competitive, rough fight, you could still see that fighter doing everything he has to do to overcome adversity throughout the fight. He's making the proper adjustments. He or she is making the proper adjustments. He or she is, overcoming adversity, whatever the other opponent's dishing out. He's taking a shot to give two of his own shots. He's doing whatever he has to do or she has to do to make sure she wins, even in a close fight. You think you've done enough, but then after that, when that decision is read, you're just like, damn, like, what was the purpose of everything I did? The purpose of all that training, the purpose of, putting hands on this person in consecutive times, just, taking over each round, that can be frustrating, even for us, like I said, because we come to be entertained only to be cheated at the end of the fight. Of course, the fighters did what they were supposed to do, but when the judges don't give that person that win that really deserves it, it pisses us off, because we're like, damn, man, is this a corrupt game or what? It all, like I said, it all comes down to, it's not the fighter's fault. It's the judges, and it's the people who pick the judges. It's the organizations who clear these people to be judges. They don't understand that to be a judge, they have to know the definition of what a real significant strike is. What's an effective punch? What punch counts that lands? You just can't count a punch that hits like the arm and the knuckles all the time. Like, that's just for fighters sometimes who can just, tap the arm a little bit to get into the inside where it really counts. You just can't go by, oh, he's touching him here. He's touching him here on the elbows, on the arms. Okay, I'm going to count those shots. But the other opponent is, doing all of the work. He's splitting the guard, going straight up the middle, hitting the body, bloody in the nose, cutting the other opponent up. But you're not seeing that. That's the crazy part, and also you just can't have judges going in there picking favorites. I think that's what it is a lot of the times. Just like this past Saturday with Claudia and Angela, nothing against Claudia, but it's the actual judges that are favoring her, or the organization that's favoring her. They want her to win no matter what, even if she is getting her ass beat, that's not fair. And again, if it is just the inexperienced judges, come on, man, like we really need some experienced people that have either taken a punch or know how to throw a punch and know what a real punch feels like, in some type of manner. They know what a significant strike is. A lot of the times majority of the times, these judges are people who they just get off the street. I don't really even think they clear them to say, hey, have you had any experience in combat sports? And you know what a punch really is? Do you know how a punch is supposed to land? I think that these judges, just people do this part time. They just get up from the other 9 to 5, say, oh, they get off their other 9 to 5, and they say, oh, well, I'm going to go judge this fight real quick. I remember even the last event the UFC had with I want to say it was the Lauren Murphy and Andrea Lee, that fight, that card. That was another bad call. Lauren Murphy won a controversial decision over Andrea Lee, and Andrea Lee did everything in the book to win at least 2 rounds in that fight. And I think it was Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan or one of the other commentators there, they noticed like one of the judges wasn't even looking at the fight. He was like talking to somebody else or just off looking down, looking at something for like a good majority of one of the rounds. So, what does that tell you? These people out here that are judging fights that they hire are not really taking it seriously, and that's what we need. That's another key point that we need. We need actual judges that are taking this seriously. You taking it seriously just like a scrub tech or a nurse in the OR. I know that's a hell of a lot more serious, but this is serious too, because you have that person's career in your hands. A judge has the fighter's career in their hands. They do everything they are supposed to do to earn their money that night. This is a lot of these fighters' income, so when they come to perform, they shouldn't have to just go in there with the mind state that I can't leave it in the hands of the judges. No, you need the judges. Judges are still needed, because not everybody's going to be able to score a knockout. Not everybody has that type of power, that type of mindset to go in there every single time knockout. I mean, we keep saying that, but it's not fair that we have to say that. Then if we don't leave it in the hands of the judges, then we might as well not even hire judges. You know what I mean? Like, we might as well just let the audience do their thing, or just let the fighters fight to the death or something, right? Or fight till they submit. That's what I'm saying. That's how crazy it would be if you don't have judges. So if we're going to have judges, they need to be more experienced. Let's go back to this Claudia Gadelha and Angela Hill fight. Almost Andrea Lee again. But overall, like I said, man, it was like a very close competitive fight that Angela Hill did enough to win. It was a competitive fight where she really got tested, but she overcame adversity and did enough to win the fight, 2-1. Starting with the second round, of course, because the first round, hands down, was Claudia's. Claudia started off the fight in the first round throwing some very nice strikes. She was actually using a good jab as Angela Hill was coming forward with the pressure. But it was that takedown that definitely won her the fight. I mean, definitely won her the first round. The first round when Angela Hill got taken down, I was like, oh shit, Angela Hill is in no man's land now. This is a level where she's going to really have trouble. And she did. That's still another question mark about Angela Hill, her ground game, especially against an experienced grappler and wrestler like Claudia. And one of the key things about this thing was that this takedown was Claudia didn't even really do much. She was just on top of Angela Hill, but Angela Hill had a tough time getting up. It wasn't really until like Claudia started to move a little bit and shift where Angela Hill kind of got to the fence and was able to scoot up and break out of the clinch, So that round was definitely for Claudia. Claudia definitely did win the first one, but second round, whenever Angela Hill turned it up with the striking, she was just putting some nice hands on Claudia. Whatever she wanted to throw, she was throwing. She was throwing the left hooks around the side. She was throwing the right hooks around Claudia's guard. And that was another signature punch that kept landing for Angela Hill was the overhand right. It was going on the top of the head. She was landing uppercuts. She was throwing whatever she wanted. And, she drew blood. She had Claudia leaking from the nose, from the brow. And then, that perfect shot, too. The perfect shot as Claudia was stepping to her right. As she was stepping to her left, she stepped right into that perfect right hand that just dropped Claudia. Like, Claudia's legs were gone. I was like, damn, I didn't know Angela Hill possessed that type of power. But I think it was just a mixture of, accuracy and, that efficient, strong punch from Angela Hill. It wasn't all like power, but you know, it was just a perfect punch landed that Claudia didn't expect, you know. And Angela Hill just posted this on her Facebook. I was just actually looking at tonight. She zoomed in and showed the reaction to Dana White. It was like Dana White looked like one of the judges. Like he was just sitting there like this, like I don't know if he even noticed that Claudia had got dropped. You know, like when she zoomed in and as Claudia was going down, it was like his eyes was just like looking at the mat. It was like he wasn't even paying attention. Like he didn't even see that. Like he didn't even react. I was like, damn, man, everybody else was, you know, at home was reacting, I'm sure. But of course, there was no audience there. But I'm sure even the commentators like, damn, you know, they had some type of reaction. But when she zoomed in, man, if you go to Angela Hill's Facebook, it's like her most recent post. He was just sitting there like just looking down, like he had no reaction to it. So I was like, damn, are you mad that Claudia, your favorite, got dropped? You know, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, that whole round, Angela Hill, you know, she controlled it. She controlled it out. Claudia had her moments, but again, Angela Hill was still doing what she needed to stay one up on Claudia that round. And then going into the third round, I know there were some good exchanges in there. But overall, I feel like the better accurate punches were landed by Angela Hill. And again, Claudia posted this on her Instagram. She posted that she landed the more significant strikes. And again, that's where judges and, you know, this CompuBots thing, similar thing, it just doesn't work, man. It's like, what are you really considering significant strikes? From what I was looking at throughout that round, the more significant strikes were landed by Angela Hill. I'm talking about straight knuckles to face, knuckles to body, knuckles to to the brow that's drawing blood to the nose. Those were the significant strikes I was looking at. You know, I don't know if they're just looking at Claudia landing on the arms or landing like grazing blows, you know, little shots here and there, but she wasn't even doing that much damage to Angela Hill. Because another key to Angela Hill's that you could tell Angela Hill was winning is like her rhythm never changed. You know, her overall pacing never changed. Like she never went on like full defense, like, oh, I'm taking too many shots, I better back up. No, she stayed in the pocket. She stayed on the outside pot shotting all night. You know, whereas Claudia, when she started taking a few more shots, she looked a little gassed. She looked a little frustrated. And even at times, she would pick it up. She would pick it up for maybe like a few seconds, throw one quick exchange, stop, while Angela Hill's doing all the work. You know, Angela Hill at a point landed like 3 right hands in a row, straight right hands in a row. You know, so I'm like, that's another thing that judges aren't looking at. They're not looking at the overall octagon generalship of this thing. You know, they're not looking at the fighter that's actually doing all the work and keeping the same consistent rhythm. Like Angela Hill in the third round, to me, stayed she stayed on the same line, you know, on the same line of what she was doing. You know, she just kept working. You know, there's moments where Claudia would come in there and counter something, but she stayed here, whereas Claudia was always like here. You know, she was going up and down, where Angela just stayed here. You know, and just like I said, like you look at Angela Hill's face, she didn't even take that much punishment. On top of that, her body language stayed the same. Again, her mentality stayed the same. Like, I'm not hurt. Claudia's not doing anything to me. I'm going to stay doing what I do. Pot shot to the end, close this round out strong. And I feel like she closed it out, man. She did enough to win. That's why when she raised her hands in victory, I was like, this is for her. You know, she did it. You know, she did what she was supposed to do. Claudia, on the other hand, just kind of raised her hands. You know, I feel like she was just kind of doing that. But maybe she knew she had it in the bag. But when that decision was read, I was like, just like my prediction video, as soon as they said split decision, I was like, yeah, Angela Hill got it. And they said Claudia. I was like, oh, shit, come on. I was like, that was bullshit, man. And that's why, whenever Angela dropped that F-bomb, I was with her on that, man. I was frustrated for her too, because it was like she did so much in that fight. You know, she did so much to beat this top level fighter, you know, and Angela Hill's really been working. Like, you know, she's been staying active. She has the most like fights in a row right now, as far as just from 2019 to 2020. And another thing I probably have to talk about too, man, I don't know if I do a video or another episode about this, but Angela Hill's not even ranked in the top 10. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, how do y'all have even Amanda Ribas and Alexa Grasso? I'm an Alexa Grasso fan, but y'all got her ranked over Angela Hill right now. You know, it's crazy. Like, Angela Hill's been putting in this work, beating all these other contenders. on her level to get to that top 10. I don't understand, man. So I don't know if this was just a favorite game to keep Claudia where she was at, so she can get back in there get back in there for another title shot or what. But I just didn't like the looks of that. I didn't like that decision. But yeah, overall, like going back to the whole thing with the judges, man, it's just like we really need some like former fighters, former trainers, hell, even some referees, former referees, or even referees when they're not actually calling, being referees for a fight, calling fights. They could be judges part-time. I don't know if there are any that do that now, but that would make sense because even they're getting like, they're in there, they're actually seeing in real time, like the reaction and what's landing and what's a good punch, what's effective and what's not. They can actually see body language and effective aggression real time. They're in there with the fighters. So yeah, we just need guys like that. We just need more experienced men and women like that, to be judging fights. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a good fight. Like I said, it was like a good fight that night where, I was like pleased to see how Angela Hill was, able to step up her game and show how she's gotten better. But when that decision read, man, it just disgusts you, man, because it was like, wow, she did all this work to get in there against a former number one contender, only to have it taken away again just because, they're playing favorites. That's all. That's the reason that's the biggest reason I can see, because she did enough to win. But looking forward, looking towards the future now. As far as Claudia Gadelha, she called out Carla Esparza again. Carla Esparza called her out last week when she beat Michelle Waterson. Like I said in my post-fight video about Carla, I wanted to see that fight. I wanted to see it more if the win was more legit. Like I said, I wanted to see the winner of Gadelha Hill fight Carla Esparza, but it's just like, wow, what's going to happen again if Carla beats Claudia? She's going to be robbed of a decision again, like she was the first time. And again, that's no knock to Claudia, it's the judges. But at the same time, it's like, Claudia hasn't really, like, to me, improved or really made big statements to make me say, oh yeah, she's really whooping ass right now. Like she hasn't really stepped out of the box or gotten really, really better than she was in like 2015, 2016, around that era, when she was giving Joanna work, even in those losses. But like, she hasn't really like made me say, oh yeah, she's the one now, or she's really improved. She's still got a long way to go. If anything, Carla Esparza and Angela Hill have really made some differences in their camp, especially Angela Hill. And even, like I said, Carla, like since Carla lost the title, like she's just been growing as a fighter. But Angela Hill, man, yeah, she's definitely gotten better. So yeah, for the future for Claudia, if she's going to fight Carla, I watched that fight. I think Carla can do it again, but she's going to have to do it more convincing than she did the first time, because, they took it from her too. They definitely took it from her. So I'll take that rematch. As for Angela Hill, she posted, I'll be keeping up, man, but she posted this on Claudia's Instagram. She posted rematch. One of her posts, she just said rematch. She wants a rematch. She's already kind of been going at Claudia's neck. She's been making mockery videos of her talking and stuff like that, which is, that's the crazy part of it, man. I'm just glad she called her out, but all the other stuff, I'm just like, okay, man, like, just sign her up for the rematch. Let her get the rematch. But yeah, I understand she is pissed off. So if Angela Hill can get that rematch before the Carla can get it, that's cool too. But she says she wants to stay active. I think she wants to fight again at the end of this month. I think there's a card May 30th. I know there's a card coming up this weekend, but I think there's another one coming up May 30th. I think it's Teron Woodley on this one. Let me know in the comment section. But yeah, if Angela Hill can get a fight this month again, that's cool. Stay active, but get ready for that rematch again, because you got to be prepared to close the show against Claudia. And let's go back and talk a little bit about the technical part of the fight, just real quick, because I want to say Angela Hill definitely proved me wrong with the power. I felt like I said, she needed to show respect in this. She needed to get respect in this fight from Claudia, by really throwing stronger, hard punches. And I thought she would just kind of be able to do that with a basic jab, but she was just throwing everything, like rights and lefts, that were confusing Claudia. And then that right hand, she caught her with the perfect right hand. And like I said, who would have thought she would have dropped Claudia like that? Nobody really saw that coming. I didn't either. But it came with the fact that Claudia was trying to stand with Angela. Like I said in my breakdown video, Claudia needs to just take it to the ground. She needs to take it to the ground and, kind of feint with the striking. But she was trying to box with Angela Hill, which was a mistake, So Angela Hill definitely showed more improvement on that, as far as just being the aggressor. She was able to counterpunch and be the aggressor in this fight. And shout out to Angela Hill for doing, putting on a good performance. But like I said, just bad judgment, But again, I might get some other people on and talk about this, as far as doing on a live stream, just talk about what they feel like boxing needs as far as better judges in boxing, better judges in combat sports. Sorry, we'll talk about that again. But moving on, man. Dang, it's starting to rain out here pretty hard, man. It's like we got a tropical storm warning out here, man. So it's like really pouring out this way now, man. Like this whole week is supposed to be like that, man. It's crazy. I didn't even see that coming. First the COVID, now we got this tropical storm just like making its way through my coast right now. So it's wild out here, bro. Man, it's crazy. But yeah, man, let's talk some boxing, man. Let's talk about this welterweight division. Recently, man, in boxing news, there is reports that Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia could possibly be facing off in September when boxing makes a return. If it comes back in September, which I hope it comes. Well, actually, man, we got a card coming up June 9th, but I think the question mark is still kind of on that. I think Clarissa Shields is going to be fighting, but, don't quote me on that. Shakur Stevenson, I think he's going to be returning too. Some people were telling me about that, but we're not too sure on that. But if it does, that's cool. That's cool if it comes back. I mean, they're probably not going to have an audience yet, but, I'm ready for some new boxing matches to come up, man, But yeah, going back to September, Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, that's a potential fight that could happen. They also said that Danny Garcia could be in talks to either fight Errol or Manny. Me personally, I prefer him to take on Errol Spence Jr. I feel like that's a fight that's more on the level for both of these guys. With Danny coming back after the Ivan Redcash fight back in January, and of course Errol Spence, this will be his return after fighting Sean Porter and taking the WBC belt, and then after that, horrific car accident. This will be his return fight. After almost a year off. So my thoughts on this one, man. Spence Garcia, like I said, I've done a video on this before. I like this fight. I don't really care what anybody says, man. I think this is a good fight, especially for Errol Spence Jr., who's going to be coming back after a tough fight with Sean Porter, then a long layoff due to the car accident plus the COVID-19. Well, first off, back in September after the Sean Porter win, he suffered this car accident, and he suffered some. The accident suffered some minor lacerations, no broken bones, some teeth, some like 2 or 3 teeth came out. I think he said in a recent interview that he had to get 3 new teeth. Yeah, 3 new teeth in. So he hasn't been doing any sparring. He's waiting for that to be clear. And after the accident, he's been out of. There's been a lot of questions like, is he going to be able to return to boxing? When is he returning to boxing? And honestly, man, with this COVID that came up, I have to say that was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I think his ideal return was to return in January, before the accident. And then when the accident happened, his next return was probably going to be this summer, like May or June, but after this COVID thing taking effect and back in February, March, they started pushing boxing dates back, canceling boxing dates. And, that definitely pushed a potential fight between Errol and Manny or Errol and Danny off. And to me, I thought that was a good I thought that was just like a blessing in disguise for him. I thought it was because it'll give him time to heal, because Errol's the type of guy, he's that type of warrior that wants to go straight back in there and fight whoever. He's always calling out the names. You ask him who he wants to fight, he's going to say he's going to say all the names. He doesn't really beat around, so if a Danny fight was going to be able to take place in May after an accident, he was ready to come back, and to me, I still kind of felt like that was dangerous for him because, like I said, Danny Garcia is a dangerous opponent. He's a dangerous opponent for anybody, and that's the point I want to talk about. That's why I say this is a good fight for Errol Spence because, for one, after this long layoff, he gets to come back and prove himself against a former champion again. Danny is no pushover, in my opinion. He's going to have another name on his resume. Errol Spence going to have another name, after a big fight like Sean Porter. He gets to go back in there against Danny Garcia, who's faced, some of the top guys at 140, faced some of the top guys at 147. Came up short, but he still faced them. And it's another name that he gets to rack up on his side to make even the potential Manny fight or potential Terrence Crawford fight look even more tantalizing. And then it'll all come down to how, he's able to handle a guy like Danny Garcia. It'll really, put those ears up, put those eyes on him to make people really say, oh, this guy might give Terrence Crawford all he can handle. So it's another good fight for him. And with him taking it kind of puts Terrence Crawford in that corner as well, where, people are going to be saying, well, Terrence, who do you have? Who you fought on your resume? That's just the bottom line. Casual fans are going to be saying that. Commentators, analysts are going to be saying that all day. We're going to start pushing for Terrence Crawford to fight Keith Thurman's, the Keith Thurman's of Sean Porter's. We're going to be wanting to say, hey, man, what can you do to make us say you're going to beat a guy like Errol Spence? Hey, Errol Spence done destroyed Kell Brook. He went a dog fight. He went to hell and back against Sean Porter. Now he knocked Danny Garcia out. If that happened, then people are going to say, well, Terrence, what can you do? You know what I mean? So it's a fight that really is going to build up the resume and the exposure of Errol Spence, building the exposure because Danny Garcia is that guy too, as far as, on the East Coast, Philly, he's pulling in $3 million a fight, somewhere close to $3 million a fight. And, he has a lot of fans on the East Coast. So, bring over the East Coast fans with the West Coast fans for Errol Spence. And it's a fight that'll really build up Errol Spence as a superstar as well. And just going back to, like I said, a lot of people not wanting to see this fight because they don't like Danny Garcia. Well, I like Danny, okay. There's no problem with Danny. Danny Garcia is no pushover. They forget that he was a unified champion at 140. He beat some top names at 140. I know some guys you can kind of question and say they were kind of out of their prime and they've gotten older, but there was still some dangerous fights at 140. Even the Amir Khan fight was dangerous at one point. Amir Khan was at some point, piling up points against Danny in that fight until Danny knocked him out. He's had a tough fight with Zab Judah. Zab Judah had his moments in that Danny Garcia fight, but Danny was able to overcome adversity and win that fight. Who else has he beat? See guys like Eric Morales, those are more so name builders. Eric Morales was kind of at his prime, but it was still a name. It was still a name on there that you could say he still had enough to prove that he could beat world champions. And even going, okay, let's go up to 147. He lost to Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, but they didn't knock him out. They didn't dominate him. They didn't dog him. That's the thing people forget about Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia may come up short in some departments as far as some of his skill, but he's a strong guy. If you go back and look at those fights, he still had a presence in the fight against Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. I think he lost both of those fights, but he still had a presence to kind of keep them honest at times. Keith Thurman came out strong in the Danny Garcia fight. He came out swinging a few times and hit Danny Garcia with some big shots. He hit him with some big shots that I thought he would have knocked Danny Garcia out. But I think when he found out he couldn't knock Danny out, and he saw how strong Danny was and how Danny started walking him down a few times in the second half of the fight, he started showing respect. He went on his bike, so don't get me wrong. Danny Garcia has some strength to him, but his skill wasn't on Keith Thurman's level. So Keith had to show you that, hey, I'm a better boxer. He went to that next level and said, okay, let me start boxing because this guy is taking all my best punches. He is a strong guy at welterweight. He has the ability to knock me out if he wants to, I think. So I'm going to stay on the back foot now and show him I'm the smarter fighter. That's the kind of approach Keith Thurman had to take because Danny still has skill in it. He has strength in him. He's handled 147 well, I think. He's been holding his own. He hasn't been dog walked or like really just fully dominated yet. He's came up short, but he hasn't been dominated. And looking at his Sean Porter fight, that was a fight I and myself and a lot of people felt Sean Porter was going to dog Danny Garcia, and they thought he was going to be in there muscling him in and pushing him against the rope. But there were parts in that fight. If you look at Danny Garcia was like pushing Sean Porter back, like he was standing his ground. Like when Sean would try to dog him, like he would like keep those feet planted and kind of push him back and show you how strong he is. Like Danny, Danny's not a small guy. He was a taller fighter, even in the Sean Porter fight, looked a little bit wider. But Sean Porter, he took a different approach in this fight. Sean Porter became more of a boxer in the Danny Garcia fight. Like he was actually on the outside, being a little weary of Danny Garcia's power. And that's another key point. Danny's power. It's one of the great equalizers in his fights. He can even up a fight just with that power. That's why I say this is a good fight and it can be a dangerous fight for Errol Spence. Sean, again, like he didn't take that full-on dog approach like he did against, some of these other guys in the past. Like he actually tried to dog with Errol Spence a little bit more than he would with Danny Garcia. That's like kind of shows you that Danny Garcia got some strength in him, and he definitely, got the power to hurt a guy. So I got to say, yeah, Danny Garcia is not a pushover. He's not a full pushover. Like some guys just think he swings wild or he's a puncher, but he's a calculated puncher. Like he's not the type of puncher that just goes in there like a Maidana, like a Marcos Maidana. Danny sets his punches up with timing. He's not the fastest guy, and he's definitely not slow, but he's like he's a good timing guy, and he knows how to kind of roll with punches. He keeps his feet planted to keep that good balance, to always throw with bad intentions, even with his jab. He's never really had the best straight right hand, I've always noticed, but he has a very good overhand right, and definitely has a devastating left hook. And that's what a lot of people forget. He is a Philly fighter, so he does have a little bit of like a roll to him when he's in that pocket. And that's what always sets up his counters. He'll kind of roll and then come back with like a looping shot. And these guys don't see it until they feel it. Danny's that type of guy. Like when he knows how to time, he can get in there and connect. So not a pushover at all, man. Like I said, if Danny was a pushover, he would have been gone. He would have lost his belts like in devastating fashion at 140, then possibly move up to 147, and then just got mauled and brawled out by Sean Porter. But no, he's held his own in these fights, man. Like again, like he's lost these fights, but I felt like he definitely could show you that he has potential to get a little bit better, if he wants to. So yeah, going into an Errol Spence fight, it's definitely not going to be a fight where Errol just walks through Danny Garcia. Danny is definitely going to have his moments where he stands his ground, and Errol's going to have to box in this fight, to set up his potential knockout. If Errol wants to stop him, he's definitely going to have to break somebody like him down, go to the body and to the head, and even then, you don't want to stay in there too long because, Danny Garcia, whenever he starts to fall behind on cards, he's definitely going to be looking for that Hail Mary. So you don't want to be in there when he's looking for that Hail Mary shot. Even Keith Thurman went on the back foot in the last half of that fight and stayed on the outside to avoid, the knockout power of Danny Garcia. So, yeah, Errol Spence, he's going to definitely bring the boxing style. He knows how to bring where he meets Danny Garcia in the middle, but at the same time, he's going to use his IQ to avoid the power and kind of box more at the range because he is going to be the faster fighter at that range. And I feel like he definitely utilizes a better straight than Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia's straight right hand isn't really there the same way Errol uses a straight left hand. I think the better tools are possessed by Errol Spence. Errol Spence has the jab, has the body attack, has the better footwork. But I think that the better timing has been shown by Danny Garcia. I think the better timing is from Danny Garcia because that's what makes his style unique, and that's what's gotten him knockouts. He knows how to time guys and come back with the counter and even throw these looping shots from down here, and they still land. They're kind of telegraphed, but he still knows how to set them up. He knows how to beat up brawlers. He knows how to go in there and kind of push back. Guy was at 140, but like I said, he's carried 147 up nice physically. But as far as what he can bring to the table with the power, it is a game changer in the fight. So yeah, I like this fight, man. I really do. Like I said, it's just the type of styles they both possess. Spence and Garcia. One's more of a concussive boxer, like with a good body attack. He can box or punch. And Errol Spence. Then you got Danny Garcia, who's a very skilled, calculated puncher. He's a skilled, calculated puncher. Like I said, he's not just a wild, one-dimensional puncher. He sets the punches up. Go back and watch some of these Danny fights. I know there have been some controversial decisions he's won, like that Lamont Peterson. I feel like Lamont Peterson did beat him. Again, Thurman and Porter beat him convincingly too, but they still had to show him respect in those fights. He's still a guy you had to respect with the strength and the power. So yeah, if this fight happens, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. I'd rather see Spence Garcia before I see Pacquiao Garcia. I feel like we need to see more of guys of this era, face off. And again, this will be a big name on Spence's record. And, it'll make us say, yo, Terrence, you got to get that Sean Porter fight, man. Or, you got to get that Keith Thurman fight. You got to get over here to PBC and start fighting some of these guys, because, the time is winding down for both of these guys, already both Errol Spence already pushed, just turned 30. Once he just turned 30 and Terrence Crawford is 33. So, yeah, it's going down right now, in the welterweight division. We got so much talent. So there's a lot of fights that need to be made between like these top 10 guys. In the meantime, since Danny is looking at Spence or again, Manny, Terrence Crawford, Ugas. I like that fight, man. Go ahead and make that one happen. There's a little bit of history there. Ugas has beaten Terrence Crawford in the amateurs. That would be a nice fight just to see how far Terrence Crawford's come since then. He can go back, he can come back and say, yo, I'm definitely not the same guy I was then. I can still beat you. Ugas brings a lot to the table. Ugas will really test you and push you 12 rounds. He's a tough, strong welterweight. Just ask Sean Porter. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got on this one, guys, for real though, man. Really pouring out here, man. But let me know your thoughts on that fight. I know, like I said, a lot of people don't like the Spence Garcia matchup, but I do. I think, it's gonna prove a lot to see how much of Errol Spence is still the same fighter after this car accident, and it'll also tell us what Danny Garcia. It'll show us how, Danny Garcia, another side of Danny Garcia, because, before he didn't want to fight Errol Spence. He didn't call out Errol Spence until after that Sean Porter fight, so maybe when he saw something in there, he was like, oh, man, I can maybe capitalize off that. Nobody was really licking their chops until they saw that tough fight that Errol Spence had with Sean Porter. So, yeah, we're going to really get to see what Danny Garcia offers in that fight. But, yeah, man, like I said, that's all I got on this one, guys. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think of these topics. What do y'all want to see Cortney Casey do from here at 125? Do you want to see Claudia Gadelha, Angela Hill 2? Or do you want to see Claudia versus Carla Esparza 2? Do you think Claudia did enough to win the fight? Do you think Angela Hill did enough to win the fight? What do you think about judges in general in combat sports? Do you think they should be experienced fighters or trainers, former fighters or trainers or referees? Let me know in the comment section what y'all think about that. And Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia, what do y'all think of that fight? Like I said, I like it, but what do y'all think? Let me know in the comment section, guys. And like always, y'all can follow me on Instagram at ComboBreaker99, and you can follow me at All Boxing Everything. That's just my All Boxing page. That title says it all Boxing Everything. Make sure y'all subscribe here on my YouTube channel, ComboBreaker99. Thanks to my new subscribers, it's been growing. just keep on. I'll keep on doing some videos and podcast episodes and interviews here. And what else? Follow me and my man Boxing Peace page, The Jab Effect on Instagram. It's at The Jab Effect. I'll post it here. And y'all can check out our podcast together, Jab Podcast, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud. But yeah, all that's going to be posted right here for y'all, to check out. But yeah, man, I'm just, coming with some more stuff, man. Just kind of talking to y'all about some technical things in sports, whether it be in the octagon, in the ring, or, out the octagon, out the ring, all of that's going down, man. But yeah, man, I'll be back with another episode for y'all next week. Like always, my name's Combo Breaker 99. I'm out, y'all. Peace.